Hey Paris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad. So let's go ahead and just jump in and get started. So can you tell us, where did you first hear about Sanda?
I first heard about Sanda through my coach and still current coach, Alex Sisney. Oops, I'm having my screen messed up a little bit. There we go.
No, they just spotlighted you. You're okay.
Oh, okay, cool. So I heard it actually through him. That's where I originally started training, was at Gracie Baja Katie. And I saw some kids doing some Sanda and punching and kicking each other. And I was like, man, I want to get in on that. So once I saw that, I got hooked and just started training from there.
Did you have a background in any other sports before you started?
At the time, I was doing jiu-jitsu for probably maybe a year or so before I started training Sanda.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, other than that, nothing else before that. I tried taekwondo and I did horrible. So
I see. So when you went to Alex's school, like when you first saw it, what drew you to it? What made it different than like say taekwondo or something like that?
I was just attracted to the violence, kind of. Just punching and kicking each other. And I started doing jiu-jitsu, and at first I was horrible. I was getting beat up by everybody and I hated it. I cried every day that I went. But once I started getting better, my confidence grew a little bit more. I wanted to venture off into punching and kicking. So once I saw that, I was hooked from the beginning and just wanted to punch and kick people. I was a little kid, 11 years old, and just wanted to have fun. So
Do you remember your first class? Do you remember your very first Sanda class?
No, I don't. I started it in 2007, so that would have been 13 years ago.
What about preparing for your for your first fight? What were your experiences about that?
I was really nervous. I've never competed before on a big stage at like nationals, so something big like that for my first competition, I was really freaked out. Leading up to it, I was super nervous. I couldn't sleep at night and just didn't know what to expect. But after my first fight, I was hooked.
That's good. So what was like the most, even now and even back then, what's the most challenging aspect for preparing for a fight, and why?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects of it that are challenging. Depending on what weight class that you're fighting, and I mean, even any fight in general, you're going to want to eat clean. So it's very tempting to want to cheat on your diet or anything like that. So that's pretty challenging on its own. The training itself is very challenging too, because I usually do 2 to 3 sessions a day. So if I'm doing 3 sessions a day, I'll train at 6 a.m. and then 11 or 12 like lunchtime, and then I'll do also 6 p.m. So that gets really hard on my body. And then also the mental aspect of it too is you have to prepare yourself, because you're going in to a battle and he's trying to hurt you or trying to knock you out, and you have to do the same. So you just got to mentally prepare yourself for that. So honestly, like, all of it is challenging, but you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be doing it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about? Could you talk about the preparation for competing in like a Sanda match versus your MMA matches? Is the setup prep the same or similar, or are there any differences?
I mean, I would say the outline or the structure of it would be the same as far as how many training sessions I'm getting in a week. But the difference would be that with MMA, you have to adjust like your training schedule to certain practices, right? So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, I would be doing jiu-jitsu, and then Tuesday, Thursdays, we do wrestling and sparring. So each training session is different from boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, versus with Sanda, I'm either going to be training hands and kicks, or I'm working out, so it's either those two, because you don't have to worry about the jiu-jitsu side of it or working up against the fence. You do have to work wrestling as well. So I will give it that. I have to do kickboxing and wrestling whenever I'm competing for a Sanda tournament. And then whenever I'm doing MMA, I have to do all of it. So that's the only thing that's different. It's just the practices.
All right. That makes sense. What about, can you tell us, like you told us about your first time that you went for a fight. What about the first time that you went to an international Sanda fight? How was that different than a domestic one?
Times 10. All the emotions from the first fight times 10. I think the most nerve-wracking part for me was I hear all the stories about how good other countries are, especially like Asian countries for the weight class that I fight in. And it was just my luck that I pulled Vietnam, which was one of the top 5 countries in the world. So I was definitely really nervous. I didn't know what to expect again. The only difference from for the national tournament to the international tournament is just the I would say the level of competition for sure. After I got it done, I was like, wow, that was it. I was freaking out for that. It wasn't too bad afterwards.
Okay. More like the expectation or the worry about like what the difference with
yeah.
But what about for you after that? How did you change? Did competing internationally, did that change? How did you adjust for the different level of competition on the international level? Did you go back home and were you able to take away anything from from being exposed to other international programs versus going back home?
No, not really. It's just the fights are all the same. I prepare the same way. So I think the only thing for my first international tournament was just the kind of the unknown factor of competing internationally. Once I got that out of the way, it was a breeze, and it's the same whoever I'm fighting. I bring the same energy, the same training. Everything's going to be the same. Whoever's in front of me.
Okay, cool. And then what about, you mentioned Vietnam, and of course there's China and Iran. But are there any other other countries Sanda programs that you admire, or you think that are rising, or you follow?
Russia as well. Russia's really, really good. Russia, China, Iran, Vietnam, Philippines as well. A lot of those Asian countries. Korea too is really solid, and I mean USA too. So
right. Yeah. So what do you think? Okay, so let's go back to USA then. So for the American Sanda fighters, you are fortunate. You have a lot of experience, which is why we wanted to interview you. As far as competing internationally, competing with a lot of different types of people. Mm-hmm. But for American Sanda fighters who are just getting started, what do you think could be done to raise the level of Sanda domestically?
What do I think could raise the level of Sanda? What was the last part? I couldn't hear you.
Domestically, inside the country, for the U.S.
Okay. I would say for sure more competitions would be a start. Right now, we only have one competition a year, which definitely isn't enough. I mean, if you want to compete at the highest level, you need to be competing often and as frequently as you can. So I would say that for sure would definitely raise the level here in the United States, is because a lot of people get really nervous for their first competition, and if they're only having one competition a year, you're not going to be able to get used to that or prepare yourself and grow from that. So I think step one would definitely be that. Step two, maybe some more governmental funding, if that would be possible. Bring everybody together. People get paid for certain competitions that they do, or if they bring home certain medals as well, that would give them an incentive to continue to keep competing or to grow as well. Okay.
And actually, that segues into the next question pretty well, which is Sanda fighters have to deal with so many challenges to compete at a high level, from regular training to managing their own expenses that you just mentioned, to weight management, which you also mentioned. What pushed you to deal with all these challenges and still compete in the sport when there's so many things to deal with?
I was just hungry to be successful, to be honest. Okay. I wanted to take advantage of any opportunity that I had to compete and to better myself, and to continue to just grow. So any obstacle that I had in my way, I came up with solutions to overcome those, to get myself to point B, basically, wherever I was going.
Okay, great. And who are some of your greatest influences in your Sanda competition career, and why?
Um, well, obviously my head coach, Alex Sisney, and Ian Lee as well. Coach Lee has also been a big influence in me watching both of their fights. I really grew up, watching Alex compete. And just learning from both of them has progressed me so much and influenced me in a great way.
Great. Okay. And can you share with us, what was your most memorable experience on the Lei Tai?
My most memorable experience, you said on the Lei Tai or off the Lei Tai?
Yeah, on the Lei Tai.
Like, what do I remember when I was fighting?
Yeah.
Let me see. When I competed at the there's two memories that stick out. First would be whenever I was competing in China at the Junior Olympics. I was going against an athlete from their hometown in China. So the energy during that fight was definitely very intense because me and him were going back and forth at it. So every time that I would land a big punch or a big kick, you get the reaction from the crowd, and same thing with him. So just feeling the energy there, because it was such a big arena, you could feel it all in the fight. I think there's probably, I don't remember, close to 2,000 or 1,000 people. I forgot. I don't know if Eugene remembers or if you were there either. But the crowd is what I really remember in that fight. And also when I competed at the junior world championships, that was in Antalya, Turkey. I remember Team USA cheering USA in my second time fighting the Vietnamese athlete. And that definitely gave me a good boost and good energy.
That's cool. So, let's see. What do you advise for future U.S. Sanda team members who are training to compete at the international level, who are going to go down the same path that you've already been?
I would advise to stay as dedicated as possible, and to continue to compete as much as you can and as often as you can, because there's no training that you can do that'll get you prepared to fight like a fight, and just stay dedicated. That's what it takes.
Cool. Between an international Sanda fight and a professional MMA fight, what is the training like? Is it? You mentioned before that you changed the like as far as like more jiu-jitsu, more clinching, but what's but the actual the fight itself, like when you're actually in like on the Lei Tai versus for the MMA, does it feel different when you're in there?
Does it feel different as far as like the fight or how I fight? Fight, it all feels the same. I mean, everything is a competition, so you just want to win, and you do whatever it takes to win. But as far as the difference as my fighting style or maybe the pace really stands out as a big difference. In Sanda, since the rounds are a lot shorter and they will basically penalize you for stalling, the pace is super, super fast. It's nonstop. It's go, 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 go. So with the MMA fight right now, my fights are 3 5-minute rounds. So in that 5 minutes, you're not going balls to the wall. You're coasting here and there. You'll be up against the fence. You'll take them down. You can be moving around, bouncing. You don't have to throw a combination within a certain amount of time. So that gives you a lot of rest, or you can kind of preserve your energy, versus in Sanda, it's go, 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 go. So I feel like the pacing really makes a big difference between those two.
Okay. Okay. And then so that said, if the pacing is different, is the preparation training in Sanda, would you say, is that something that is it a beneficial path still for MMA, or are there better ways to go? Or like basically for for Sanda fighters who want to go and who want to enter MMA, is what would you advise them to change to be more flexible, like with their pacing or the training? Or
definitely slow down the pace just a little bit. I mean, each fight you can really feel the pace out. Your first fight is against guy A, and then the second fight is guy B. Both of those fights are going to be totally different. So I would definitely feel out the pace on how it's going to be. But fighting Sanda definitely is going to give you an advantage because you're used to that high pace and you should have pretty decent cardio. So if you come in with the same cardio and training aspect, then you should be fine.
Okay. And can you also share what was your best experience from being on the U.S. Sanda team?
My best experience. There was a lot, so I have to think about it. The best experience that I had is gonna have to be the university games in Taiwan. Okay. That was definitely my favorite. Just the way that you were treated at the competition and throughout the whole stay in Taiwan. Taiwan was a beautiful city. I think I couldn't even tell you how many competitors there were there. I would say maybe 18,000 was how many people.
Wow.
I think it was 18,000 total people there, including coaching and whatnot. So the tournament was huge. I had a great time with all my Team USA athletes. It was great to see everybody. It was just all around a memorable event.
Cool. And then let's move back to UFC really quick. Zhang Wei Li's meteoric rise in UFC has shown that Sanda fighters can do really well moving into MMA. How do you feel about her?
I definitely agree. She's a monster. She'll probably beat me up too. And yeah, watching her fight. I mean, her most recent fight with Joanna was definitely probably the best women's MMA fight in history.
Yeah, it was incredible.
But she's definitely, I would say, the most standout Sanda athlete in the UFC right now. But there's a few others. Song Yadong. He's from China as well. He's solid, very, very good. And then everybody knows Muslim Salikov. That guy's a legend. So
right,
one of the greatest. He's in the UFC as well. So there's a few top athletes right now that should definitely be a motivating factor for a lot of the lower level athletes.
Right. When you with those type of athletes, and you can see the growing trend in MMA to seeing more Sanda people using more athletes using Sanda as an avenue to enter UFC. Can you give any examples or ideas about what part of the Sanda training makes them successful, or is it just the individual athlete?
I mean, yeah, the athlete definitely has a big role in it, but I think what makes Sanda stand out is compared to other striking sports. So let's say Muay Thai, whatnot, is punch, knee, and kick and elbow. But with Sanda, you're doing all of that, which in certain competitions you can knee, you wouldn't be able to elbow, but you're also working takedowns. So I think that the wrestling also adds a great factor because if you're going against a wrestler, you can shut down their takedowns with your takedown defense, or you can take them down as well. So it gives you a more well-roundedness. Bringing that into the UFC or MMA or whatever organization that you fight in.
I see. Okay. Next question. The USAWKF has been awarded the next IWF World Wushu Championships to be held in Texas. Assuming that the current pandemic gets solved by then, would you be interested in competing again under light height and rejoining Team USA?
Yeah, definitely. Depending on what time it is, and as long as I don't have any MMA fights coming up, then definitely I would love to. I would love to take advantage of that and compete and get on the Lei Tai again and get to see all my good friends and family from Team USA as well.
Cool. Well, we'll see what happens with this pandemic because we really have no idea. But it is on the agenda to happen in the future. But also going even further in the future, would you ever consider thinking about coaching or teaching Sanda?
I haven't thought that far yet, honestly. Coaching is tough. It's a totally separate skill from competing or fighting or just knowing the techniques, because now you need to know how to explain it to somebody and for them to grasp it and to put it into use. I haven't done too much teaching yet. I fill in here and there for whenever some coaches are out, but it's definitely something that I would be interested in, but I need to practice my coaching skills first.
I see. Well, still plenty of time for that.
Yeah.
Right. Can I ask you what are your current training goals? What are you working towards right now?
My current training goals is just to get better every day. I train, let me see, I probably do, I think it was 13 to 14 sessions a week. I'm just trying to better myself in every aspect that I can. I lift weights. I wrestle with an Olympic silver medalist. My boxing coach is amazing. My kickboxing coach, everybody knows, who's a legend from Team USA as well. My jiu-jitsu coach is amazing. I have great teammates and family and friends to push me. So I'm really just trying to grow in every aspect that I can and be solid everywhere, because in order to be the best in MMA, you need to be really, really good in every aspect, because somebody can take you down or they can look at you at your weakness and try and beat you there. So you have to be the best that you can in everything.
And how has your training been through the coronavirus? Have you had to adjust any of your training, or has it mattered? Or?
Yeah, I have. I had to make some adjustments in the beginning whenever coronavirus first started. I'm in Houston, so major city, everything was closed for a while. So me and my buddies from the gym, we would text and meet up at the park and try and get in 2 sessions a day, or at least 1 session a day. And try and just stay in shape and stay sharp so you're not rusty whenever it's time to go back. But now everything's starting to open back up here, and hopefully we'll have some more fights. But the cases are still rising here in Houston, so I have no idea what's going to happen. Whatever's is best for the economy and best for everyone living here, and the safest thing. If we have to go for another shutdown or training gets stopped or whatever it is, I'm still going to try and find a way to get it in and try and progress and get better.
And what about specifically with you in the FFC, or has anything been announced for your next fight, or are they still continuing during the virus? Or
I was supposed to fight in July. The fight got canceled because of COVID, and they want to put on some events here in Texas. And from my knowledge, I think what's holding back is the fact that the regulations that are put into place right now for any promotion to have a fight. I mean, understandably, there's a lot of stuff that come into play whenever you want to put on a fight right now. And I think for the organization that I fight in right now, from what the promoter said, is that he would have to get a hotel for all of the athletes and the fighters to quarantine the week before the fight, or the week of the fight, and test for COVID, the fighters and the coaches, 3 separate times. So 2 days before the event, the day of weigh-ins, and the day of the event. And I believe that he said that the tests were close to $7 a test. And then on top of that, we would only have 25% of people in attendance. So I don't think there's any money to be made there. I'd probably be losing money. I think it was close to $15,000 in tests. And I don't even know if that included the hotel or not. And there's no ticket sales. So I think once the cases start to slow down a little bit, and then they can loosen up the regulations, once it's safe for the athletes, hopefully before the end of the year, though, we definitely, get a card here in Houston and hop on that and get a fight going, because this is really, it's put a hold on my career as well. I want to fight 3 to 4 times, within a 12-month period. And my last fight was in February. And so here we are in July, and I still haven't competed again. So I want to fight for sure twice before this end of the year. If I can try and fit 2 in towards the end of the year, we'll see.
I see. Okay. Well, hopefully it's got to get better at some point. I'm
praying that it does.
Yeah. And then we also had a couple of questions from some fans. They wanted to know, what do you feel are some of the fighting benefits unique to Fansho or Sanda?
Say that one more time.
What do you feel are some fighting benefits that are unique to Fansho or Sanda?
Some fighting benefits. It definitely, that style is more of a speed-based style. So you're scoring and you're moving a lot. You're chopping the legs. You're taking somebody down. So I feel like that gives you the ability to mix it up really well whenever it comes into bringing that into MMA. Is you're able to punch, kick, take down, and switch from a takedown into release and strike. So it gives you the ability to put a lot of output as well. You're doing a lot. You're staying very active in the fight too, and you're just racking the numbers up, and essentially you're scoring as you're building that score up, man. Just scoring on the opponent.
I see. And what from your Sanda training do you feel contributed to your success in MMA? That was the question.
Well, being surrounded by great coaches, that itself pushed me to be better in Sanda, which had me just showing up early, putting in the work, first one to get there, last one to leave, and just staying dedicated. And I feel like starting that at a young age really molded me into being very dedicated and with my training. So whenever it was time to start fighting MMA, I was already super dedicated into this and just adjusted a few things.
Okay, cool. And then the last ones are kind of specific, was that it says, are there any drills that you recommend to train things that they think that you're really good at, which is establishing rhythm, luring other fighters into your rhythm, or number two, initiating the first scoring technique of an exchange?
What was the question in the beginning? Is there any specific
technique? It's a little bit strange question. It says, are there any drills you recommend to train for either one, establishing rhythm, or luring your fighters into, luring the competitor into your rhythm, or number two, initiating the first scoring technique of an exchange?
Well, there are a few drills. I do some footwork drills for my boxing coach and my kickboxing coach that they put me through. It's kind of hard for me to show you here. But I would really just set the timer 5 minutes and just work your footwork, your rhythm, moving in and out. You want to bait them if you're going to come in and they're going to come forward. As soon as you step back, get your counter ready. Think of something in your head, or get something that you're very good at and that you can do fast. That's a good counter for a reaction. So I know that if I feint and the person reacts by moving their hands a certain way or coming towards me, I already have what I'm going to do lined up in my head, or option B, whatever it is. So really I would get good at a specific counter that you like. So if somebody keeps hitting you with a jab, or they keep hitting you with a leg kick every time that you move back, well, you know that you need to work on that. And so build off of that. And, why do they keep hitting me with this? And create a drill out of it. Every time somebody leg kicks you, get a partner and have them leg kick you just randomly, and you have to counter it or check it. I believe that is what would work. And I also do a lot of situational sparring. So if there's something specific before a fight that we want to work, if I want to specifically work, circling off of my cross, or moving my footwork, or when somebody comes in, what's going to be my reaction. My coaches will put me through, basically a situational sparring drill to get myself prepared for that. So I would just say footwork and situational sparring, and get good at countering, because if you can get really good at countering, you can lure them in, because if they're going to throw a specific punch, what are you going to do afterwards to counter that, and where they're going to be open at? Because whenever they throw this, something's going to be open that you can come with another punch or kick. Kind of a tricky question, but I try to tie that in together. Yeah,
nice. That was pretty impressive, actually. And then I also had another question about, since you were talking about like looking at things that the opponent might like to do. Do you recommend, or do you look at video of your opponents, or do you watch just your own video, or do you break down your own video?
I do both. I know some people don't like to watch their opponent or study their opponent before their fight. I don't get super stuck on it. Like, I'm not going to watch their fight 100 times and be obsessed with it, because the fight is also about you doing what you're really good at. I'm not going to focus on, oh my God, what's he going to do every time I step this way or step this way. I'll watch the fight. I'll see what his movement is, if there's any habits that they have, and break it down and see where I can beat them. That's what I try and do. As an MMA fighter, I'm solid everywhere. I've trained every practice. That's the main ones in MMA. And so I've gotten myself good at that for that specific reason, because somebody's going to look at you and they're going to break you down and see, hey, where can I beat this person? I mean, obviously that's the smartest thing that you can do. So if you can be really solid in every practice or most practices, then I feel like that would set you up really good as well.
Cool. We also had another question just come up right now about what can you tell to the new generation of junior Sanda fighters that want to achieve a good level in Sanda?
Just keep training. Don't give up. Don't let anything distract you. And just put in the hard work every day. Just show up. The days that you don't want to go, when you get to the gym and you're there, it all goes away. I mean, the hardest part, honestly, is just getting there. So if you can stay dedicated, stay hungry, keep training, compete as often as you can, you're bound to be successful as long as you just don't give up.
And then there's one more question.
I guess I have a personal question. So Paris, looking back at some of your past junior Sanda fights, in particular, I guess the athlete from Vietnam that you faced, in back-to-back junior worlds. Looking back, what sort of lessons, did you get from those experiences? Like, what can you reflect on?
I would say the first one is don't. I wouldn't say I beat myself before the fight, but I really made the fight a bigger deal in my head mentally than what it was. So I learned not to psych myself out or to think, oh my God, this guy's a 2-time world champion or whatever it is. I look at him as just another fighter, and how are you going to beat him? Where can you beat him and get it done? So I think the main thing would just be for me not to psych myself out before the fight. I was young and nervous. My first time fighting internationally. Never been in China before, and I'm fighting a really, really good high-level athlete that everybody was like, no, that guy's not that good. Nah, you'll be okay. It's no big deal. But I think they were just saying that before the fight because I think he got second or third that year, and then he won 2 years later. So he's very, very good. I don't know if that answers your question. I apologize.
No. I think, yeah. I mean, that's definitely one thing that you can gain from those experiences. Matt, were there other questions?
Yeah, just one other one was another question from another fan was, what would you say to some new Sanda fighters who aspire to compete internationally but only trained domestically?
They only have, what was it, domestically?
They've only competed domestically.
And the question was what? I didn't understand the question.
They're hoping to go to make it to they want to train to make it to the US team or to compete internationally.
Okay.
They've only made it domestically so far. So
right? Or is there something holding them back, or why can't they go compete internationally?
Well, I assume it's because they have to compete to make qualify.
Okay. Well, say you didn't qualify yet, and you're training to qualify. I mean, I said this time and time again. I mean, you have to be obsessed with it, and you have to dedicate, your life to it. You get what you put in. So if you train for an hour a week or you show up 2 times a week, then that's the results that you're going to get. But if you're obsessed and you're hungry and you stay dedicated and you really cover all your bases as far as like your diet, your sleep, training, stretching, recovery, all of those things, if you are obsessed and you give it your all, then you're destined to be successful. So, I mean, I would say just put in the work, show up every day, train as hard as you can. Don't take any shortcuts. And sleep also. I don't know if anybody really talks about this, but getting a good night's sleep, solid 8 to 10 hours is really going to prepare you for the next training session. A lot of people, they'll train super hard and either they'll eat bad or they won't sleep too well, and you're defeated by the next time that you show up, the next day. Is you want to start each day great, rested, ready to go, so each training session you can perform to your highest output. So
Do you manage that for yourself, or do you have coaches that help you with that, like nutritionists or
Yeah, I have coaches that help me with everything. So I have my wrestling coach, I have my boxing coach, my kickboxing coach, and my jiu-jitsu coach. I have a strength and conditioning coach, which is my father. He's also a nutritionist, and my uncle as well helps me with my diet. He's a professional bodybuilder. So I have a lot of close people close to me or next to me that really help me structure everything. And if one person has a question, if my dad has a question, he'll ask my uncle, or my uncle has a question, vice versa. And my coaches, they're always together. So if they see something that they can fix or that I could be doing better, then they're all going to come together and really just try and put together the best training schedule and diet and whatnot for me. So it's definitely, it's not just a one-man thing. There's so many other people behind the scenes that definitely deserve so much credit, for where I am and where I'm going.
Cool. Sounds like you have a really strong team.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm very thankful. I mean, it's not even just that. It doesn't end there. My mom's a massage therapist. And then I also am very good friends with Brandon Cole, who is a fascia stretch, or he does assisted stretching and helps me do like fascia and recovery. So I'll go see him, once or twice a week. And then Kathy Kistner, she's also a massage therapist who I will see once or twice a week. And then Dr. Jeff Garcia is a chiropractor that's taken me under his wing and treated me like family for the past year. And anytime I have a problem, I call him up and he's like, he squeezes me right in, takes care of me. And I've made friends also at the nutrition store, Nutrition Depot off Mason Road. Those guys treat me like family. So, I mean, I'm really thankful to be surrounded by such great people who truly care about me and my success and my health and just everything about me, So I definitely can't do it on my own. And having all these people help me really helps out a lot and makes it a little bit easier and worth doing, because it's hard, but, it all pays off towards the end.
Cool. Sounds good. Eugene, did you have any other questions? Hold on.
No worries.
No, sorry, I was muted. Let me think.
Hey, on the bright side, my dogs aren't barking, Eugene.
Yeah.
I gave them some treats, so they're quiet.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we were catching up last night, and I guess the way you described your schedule, it really seemed like you have very little time to do anything else that's like not really, training or work focused. But how do you unwind? Is there anything that you like? Maybe like the night before a fight, there's a routine that you use to like kind of, keep yourself like sort of relaxed mentally, but not totally. What's the right word? Yeah, I guess just things that you do like in your what little free time you have.
Just try and relax, stay home with my girlfriend, hang out with the dogs or my parents. Really just trying to relax and keep things as simple as possible before the fight. I don't like to do too much. The week of the fight, I take off of work and my girlfriend will take care of the dogs or anything else that we have to do. And I just try and focus on what's important, get my mind mentally right and just rest and get myself ready, and just clear myself of all distractions. I feel like that helps me the most is just kind of getting off of the phone or hanging out with people. I don't do that too often. Just stay home and recover and get ready for the competition or the fight.
Basically a job for you.
Huh?
I said it's basically a job for you then.
It is a job. Yeah, it's a full-time job, and working also is stressful. But as long as you plan right and you want it, then you're gonna do whatever it takes to get there. So that's what I do. You make sacrifices, you put in the work, and you try and be the best that you can every day. You're destined to be great.
I think that's a very good answer.
What it is. There's no shortcuts. I mean, there's no there's no secret to it, honestly. There's nothing that you can do other than showing up and putting in the work. That's what's going to get you to the top. I mean, there's no secret formula. I mean, if there was, then everybody would be doing that, but just got to put in the work and show up, and you'll get there.
Fair enough. Matt, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I think other than that, that's all. That was all the questions we had. Did you ask? Is there any of the other attendees? Did they have any questions?
I currently don't see any questions, but anyone who's listening right now, if you have questions to ask Paris, now is the time.
Where would I see the questions at? Is it under Q&A?
Yeah, the Q&A, it's sometimes they're in chat too.
And honestly, it's
Eugene,
great people to not seen you on so long.
Eugene, what about the Facebook Live?
Facebook Live actually ended. I think we hit the 8-hour cap earlier.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I had to actually step out for a bit, so I'm not sure if this was asked, but in terms of injuries, I guess, have you experienced, I guess, any serious injuries? No? Okay, that's good. That's really good. I was going to ask about recovery and whatnot.
No, thankfully, I haven't had any injuries or big injuries. But I mean, of course, you're gonna hurt your foot. You're gonna, I don't know, hurt your hand maybe, or jam something. And don't get me wrong, I get hurt too. Like, I'll have a messed up knee, or my shoulders is messing with me, but it's nothing that has taken me out for too long. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yes, hopefully.
I try and take all the steps that I can to really make sure that I don't get hurt. I have a nutritionist, I have a strength and conditioning coach, I have 2 massage therapists, I have somebody who helps me stretch, and I also have a chiropractor. And I have a good connection at a nutrition store that gives me all the new stuff and it puts me on to new things. So it's really just, I think taking all of that into consideration really helps me not get injured, and injury prevention. And I also ice bath. I said that funny. I also ice bath pretty frequently too after a hard training session, kind of bring that inflammation down and whatnot. 6 minutes of hell, but it really goes a long way.
Sounds good. We have a question from Coach Benny Meng. What's your fighting goal? UFC champ?
UFC champ, and I'm not going to end there. People think once you get to the top, you can celebrate and wow, you made it, you got the belt. But really, that's where it gets even harder. I feel like honestly throughout my career, everything keeps getting harder. And somebody was saying, wow, man, like, dude, you're a professional fighter, isn't that awesome? And to me, it's nothing too crazy because that's what's expected. I knew I was going to be there. And so, I would say, like, I just want to get to the top and reign as a champion for a long time, because that's where the money's at too. Once you get into the UFC, like, it's going to be awesome, once I get there. But once I get there, I have to go even harder, prepare myself more. And then once you start climbing up the rankings or you become champion, you have to go even 10 times harder there, because you want to make it last and you want to make as much money as you can, because everybody knows the champions get paid. So yeah, that's the goal, is to be a reigning UFC champ and dominate everybody.
I guess another question for me is, I guess while you were, still an active Sanda athlete, or even now, as an MMA athlete, I guess, in terms of, fighters other than Alex or other than Coach Lee that you looked up to, or that you're like, oh, I really like his style, and there were definitely, I guess, maybe different movements or techniques or combinations that you would, you'd want to emulate from them. I guess, are there any names you could give us?
Was it Sanda athletes or
Sanda or MMA? Yeah.
Man, there's a lot. Honestly, there's a lot of people that I looked up to. Man, I mean, since I started, whenever I started training in 2007, Jose Aldo was on top of the world at the time. I mean, he's still great now. He just lost to Peter Yan, but that guy definitely was a huge influence as well. He dominated people with leg kicks, and still to this day, people use leg kicks, but they're not as popular. But that guy he would destroy people. I don't know if you guys ever saw the fight Jose Aldo versus Uriah Faber, but Uriah Faber was on crutches the next day, and his leg was literally 2 times the size, and it was purple. I mean, there's just so many people that are great that I look up to, and I just try and take the greatness from each person. And if they're doing something that works, then man, why not use it? It's working, right? You don't have to recreate the wheel or reinvent the wheel every technique. You know, I take what works from everybody, and I try and use that myself too.
Cool. Let's see. So far, no other questions at the moment. We still have a bit of time left. I think we've got maybe 10 minutes in this allocated hour. Matt, do you have any other questions?
No, I think we've gone through all of the 3 principal ones.
Okay. Well, I guess this will be my last call for any questions from those who are in attendance. And if not, I think we can wrap it up a little early.
Yeah.
Questions. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything that I haven't covered yet either. I can't think of anything.
All right, that's okay.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I will say we can wrap it up here. Thank you very much, Paris, for giving us this really great and informative interview. And thank you, Matt, for being a great interviewer. So for all of you who are still listening, I guess this concludes the 4th session of our summer seminar series. And our next session will be on August 8th, starting again at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or 10 a.m. Pacific. And we hope to see everyone again then.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Eugene, Matt, thank you guys for y'all's time and interviewing me. It was great. It was a great experience. And if you guys ever want to have me on here again, I'd love to be on here. So thank you.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Paris.
All right. You have a great night.
Yeah, we'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Y'all have a great night.
Take care. Bye-bye.